And then can you talk a little bit, because you said your kids are 10 and 13.
Mhm.
What does homeschooling look like for you now?
Okay. So in the elementary ages, the interesting thing about homeschoolers is that homeschooling can look really differently every single year you do it. You kind of have new opportunities to shift your schedule around. Every year you decide to homeschool your children. And we've never set an age where we're going to stop homeschooling and send our kids to school. We just do it a year at a time, see how it goes. And so our schedule has looked a lot of different ways. Something that's consistent for us before COVID. I'll say this because a good part of our homeschooling was getting out into the world. It was going to museums. It was exploring our community. It was taking the kids to the grocery store and involving them in all of that daily life stuff. That was all part of our homeschool life. We were not sit at a table and work from a desk all the time during the school day of homeschoolers. And none of the homeschoolers that I really know in my community are that way either. The way our homeschooling community worked during the elementary years is we had a consistent park day where like one day a week, the whole little local community of homeschoolers would get together at the same place. And it works that way when I was in Alexandria, Virginia. It works that way in San Francisco and in all of the little suburbs around here. Everybody kind of has their own park day, and you would meet at that playground. Sometimes the parks rotate, sometimes they're the same, but we kind of use that as an anchor for our homeschooling life. So every single Tuesday was park day, and I would devote that whole day to just socializing outdoors, having fun, being with friends, relaxing, not worrying about any kind of lessons or anything particular to do. And that was like the anchor to our week for many years, right up until March, when we started having to stay home and stay away from our friends, except virtually. And so that being said, so that was the middle of the week, and we kind of built the rest of our week around it. I would still reserve those hours in the morning, like the 9 to 11, and sometimes that is shifted depending on my work schedule, the hours that I have to work with my children. So for now, for example, today, it's Monday, it's a school day, and I've given a live video to people in my course, and I'm talking to you. And then after this, then it'll be about 11 o'clock-ish, and I will get with my 9-year-old and give him some lessons, and that will be our block of time. So I've actually put on my planner, blocked off these next few hours after our chat here to be with my kid. And so it doesn't have to be at the same time every day, and it's usually not with me, but I do have to plan for it and make sure that I make time for it to happen. Otherwise, the day just slips away. There's just like always tasks to do. I have work responsibilities and I have home responsibilities. My children they occupy their time so easily if I'm not there still to say, it's time for us to get some lessons in today. They'll be really happy to go hop off to Minecraft and just entertain themselves at this point. So what my days look like now with them. So that being said, our anchoring in our days, what we were like, I'll tell you about what it was like pre-COVID, because we were in a real rhythm and then everything kind of stopped. And right now we're just hanging out at home, and we're still trying to find our new homeschooling rhythm, honestly, and kind of working out the kinks of it. At the beginning of every school year, we kind of have the opportunity to take different classes. Most homeschoolers that I know piecemeal a homeschooling life together, and you don't necessarily have to do it by yourself or be responsible for the whole thing. And so in the elementary ages, I found that after at least somewhere around age 7 or so, we started getting into a rhythm of taking regular classes every semester. They were usually through our park and rec center. And so, oh my gosh, my boys have taken so many different things, usually extracurricular stuff, sometimes academic stuff. Usually I feel really good with taking care of the reading and the writing and the math at home, okay? And then everything else can kind of be piecemealed together through these different resources. And so they would attend after school classes with kids in the community, woodworking, gymnastics, what else? Coding. My son is still in coding virtually, which is great. It's a great thing to take virtually. It's so easy to that one was a zero transition from in-person to virtual. Let's see what else. Just so many different things. Art classes, history classes, all kinds of things. And most of these would last for like maybe a 4-week or a 6-week class at a time. And then we would shift and do another class. And I feel like as if I had children who were in school, we would not be able to do this kind of extracurricular schedule. They'd be tired after school. They'd have already kind of done all that stuff. They'd been with kids in a classroom, and they'd be ready to come home and just rest. Or hang out with their friends online or something, right? But us being homeschoolers, it means that we can take classes during the day, we can take afternoon classes, and we can kind of just rotate them based on how busy we want to be at the moment. And sometimes it's real busy. Sometimes back before COVID, I was in a schedule of every day we had a class or two. And so I was in the car a lot. I was doing a lot of driving. My oldest was in a little micro school. You know, you could call it a pod if you want to. We called it a little micro school or a homeschool co-op. That's common for homeschoolers to just get together with other homeschoolers and teach a little class, or have a tutor come to just teach for an hour for one subject. And so for us, our schedule looked like Mondays was chess, and we would go over to another homeschooler's house. I would drop the kids off. They would have chess. I would either take a walk around the neighborhood and like get my exercise in, or I would go in the car and work, or I would bring my laptop with me and work in the living room there while they were taking their chess class downstairs. And then after chess class, we would come back, we would have lunch, and then we'd have a play date. A friend who's also homeschooling, her daughter would come over to our house, and we would like have Mondays with her, and we'd hang out with her in the afternoon. And then Tuesdays was park day, and that was reserved, of course, entirely for socializing and playing and just letting go. And we would stay there for hours. Homeschoolers stay outside sometimes for a long, long time. And sometimes we don't always stay there in person. We trade off with each other. And so one of us might have to work. And, another one would say, okay, just leave your kids here, or I'll take your kids to park day, or I'll watch your kids while you go and work at a coffee shop nearby. And we would kind of use each other for support that way and trade off. And then park day would wrap up around 3:30 or 4. Usually would start around 11:30 or noon, and there might be 2 shifts of homeschoolers coming, like the early crowd and then the really stay late crowd. And whether we stayed or not would kind of depend on what my kids wanted to do. And then Wednesdays, let's see. Oh my gosh, just can't remember. Maybe another little class. Maybe we had Wednesdays off, and then Thursday. I tried to reserve like 2 days a week for us to stay at home, and then the rest of the days, like we could be going to classes or back, and we would just kind of be hanging out. And I think it's very typical anyway for parents who send their kids to school. You have a lot of kids who are in after-school stuff, gymnastics or whatever, but it tends to just be that one thing, like you're in a sport, or you have this one after-school activity. And for us, it could just be like, on Monday we do this, and on Tuesday we do this one. And so our schedule really kind of fluctuated. But I think the same thing is true for me that it's always been. I feel like it's my responsibility every single year to kind of put together my kids' classes and make sure that I'm covering the other subjects. And so this year, for example, my youngest is in karate. And that's the only class I have for him signed up right now, considering some kind of other class for him to do virtually that would be for socializing. I'm thinking about a game. It's like a gaming class where they play Dungeons and Dragons and kind of stuff. Would be appealing for a 10-year-old. But really it's that and karate. And we're doing a few OutSchool classes. Do you know about OutSchool yet?
Yeah, I've actually, a lot of the homeschoolers I know use OutSchool, and they have some like amazingly cool classes. I've seen Harry Potter classes, Dungeons and Dragons classes, really neat stuff that incorporates, core, math and reading into those subjects. Yeah, OutSchool sounds amazing.
It is. A lot of the classes that they do are not big time commitments either. A lot of them are just one-off classes. So you pay $10 and you just get that hour with that instructor on whatever topic your kid is interested in. And there's so many to choose from. And so my kids and I look through and we kind of pick out a few just to spice up what we're doing, because otherwise it can get very rote with just you and your kids, and just if you don't have anybody else in there with you. It can be exhausting, especially if you're trying to work at the same time. So that's my youngest schedule. And so that means that because his extracurriculars are non-academic, I'm responsible for the rest. And my husband happens to be working from home right now. And so he's going to take history. He's going to do the Middle Ages with my youngest son. And I'm going to take our reading program. I've got him in a great reading program. He's kind of a struggling reader. And we're just working through this wonderful program together. We'll just continue that. And I'll do math, and we'll do some science, and that'll probably round out his experience for this year on those extracurriculars. And then my oldest, he is taking a government class this year. It's not through OutSchool, it's through something called Online G3. And it's supposed to be just a very traditional online school. And you would sign up for a semester of class, like a class for that semester. So it would run the whole semester, and he'll be taking government, like middle school government. And then what else is he taking? He's in coding on Wednesdays, and he's loving that. He's getting really, really good at coding. He spends a lot of time downloading various softwares and doing a lot of self-paced learning too. YouTube is definitely part of that. He's definitely a techie kid. That is his thing. My youngest is more social and more of like storytelling and being with people. And I can see him going into a field where he really works with a lot of people and maybe teaches or performs in some kind of way. And my oldest, like, he just loves twiddling with things. He's always been kind of a maker kid when he was little. And even now, he still will get out the cardboard boxes and just go to town. My oldest, 13, still loves, playing with the cardboard boxes and taping them all up together into something. Right now, he's making Minecraft Steve in box form. And so he's made like a cube for the head, and he's making cardboard box cube and rectangle shaped body parts. And so he's super creative. And I think that the coding, like the digital, we often in Montessori, we think of creativity as being kind of an arts focused thing or kind of a language heavy thing, but really, like, there's so much about tech that allows them to be creative in our current world. And I am exploring that bit by bit, witnessing him as he gets better and better at me, learning Photoshop on his own. And he even downloaded Audacity. I have a podcast too. And so, like, I know about Audacity as a podcast software, but I didn't know that he knew about it too. But he had downloaded it to his computer, taught himself how to use it using tutorials. And then this year, I'm really proud of him because he made himself timers. He actually recorded himself saying, "Meep, meep, it's Monday. It's time to get up." And then he somehow got it on his phone so that it'll wake him up in the morning and tell him what day it is, because he got so tired. He was frustrated with me. "Mom, you never tell me what day it is. I never know what day it is. And like, it's Tuesday and I have this class, and how am I supposed to know what day it is if you don't tell me in the morning?" I'm like, "Kid, there's so much technology that can help you with this. Figure something out." And then he did.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah. And so let's see what else he's in. I'm going to be teaching him grammar this year. And so that's kind of on my radar. And that wasn't my decision either. I talked to him and I said, "Hey, is there something that you feel like you're not as good at that you really want to focus on this year?" And he said, "Yeah, Mom, I feel like I don't have very good punctuation and stuff. And sometimes I don't remember what letters to capitalize. And I just want to do more work on that. Do I need to take a class, or can you teach me that?" And I said, "Nope, let's make that our focus. I just happen to be an English major. So does my husband." So I said, "We're good with that. Like, we don't need to hire anybody to teach you literature or anything. We got that one covered, kid." Oh, he's taking Black history. I'm so excited about that one. He's going to take, it'll all be about the civil rights movement. So history will be covered that way with him. And then he has eclipsed me in math. I have never been a math person. I was the little kid who the little Montessori kid who never would go to the math shelf. You know, you give a kid free choice. I would choose to go to the library and read, and then my teacher would have to pull me out and say, hey, it's time for some math. And I would come and I would do the math lesson, but my thing was always language, language, language. But his is not. His is definitely kind of a balance between language and math. Seems like he's more well-rounded than I am. But he's at the point where he's ready to take algebra, and my math skills honestly just aren't that good. And I don't really have the desire to learn algebra right now. I've got enough going on that I'm learning. I totally could take a class in algebra or check out a book and try and remember what I learned back in high school, because it's been that long since I've taken algebra myself. But I don't have to. So we are going with a tutor this year. It's the first year that we have hired a tutor for math. And I feel good about it. I found somebody who is willing to work with his needs, which is he's not the kind of kid who loves to sit down and just do a bunch of problems and practice them. He's more of an organic learner, and she's going by way of word problem. They're kind of working through different situations together and then incorporating a whole bunch of different math techniques, I guess, to solve the problem. And they're all very open-ended. So I'm really happy about that. I'm super happy I don't have to teach algebra, and that I found somebody who can affordably teach him for me during this year. And honestly, I expect that if we continue on through high school, it's going to be like this. As the older we get, the more we're going to be continuing to piecemeal things. He may end up, I would kind of expect he may end up in an online high school totally for all subjects in the future. The alternative to that is to keep piecemealing it like this and attending little co-ops, little classes here and there. And then I put together his transcript at the end of his high school years. And that's totally possible to do that. I know parents who have done it, but I don't know if that's the way it's going to go for us or not. You know, he's only 13. He will get to decide if he wants to go to public school for high school, or if he wants to continue to be homeschooled. And if he's homeschooled, whether he wants to do it piecemeal like this, or if he wants to attend an online high school. And we're just going to kind of wait and see what happens in another year and see where his gut is kind of leading him towards. My only hang up at this point is making sure that we get enough social time for him. I know it's everybody's concern right now with COVID, but I will tell you that the younger you are, the bigger your play group choices are for homeschooling, at least in my experience in the cities I've lived in. And the older they get, the more kids do enter school and start going into different situations. And so you kind of get nestled into a little community when you're homeschooling. And this is the first time that I realized a big shift in that, with COVID, all of a sudden now, I don't know, 90% of people are starting to explore homeschooling who were attending school. And as far as homeschooling goes, online school has always been part of the homeschooling community. Some homeschoolers don't do it all themselves or piecemeal it together. There are public school options in a lot of states that are like online schools for kids, virtual schools for kids, and this was before COVID. And so I'm actually really excited. I think that there's going to be all of a sudden a ton more options for him other than just the one virtual high school that I was kind of thinking about as a possibility, or continuing to stay at home and having us piecemeal it together. I don't think those are going to be the two options anymore. I suspect that in the next couple of years, because COVID has shaken us all up, all of a sudden I expect lots and lots of homeschooling resources to just pop up. Even OutSchool has just exploded. You know, I've been with them for years now. They used to be in person, and we used to look up tutors to maybe have it there or at a public library space or at someone's house to have that OutSchool tutor in person. And then they switched all to virtual. They've been doing that for a couple of years, and now we have COVID, and they have just totally, it must be good for their company right now, because I think that their teacher load has just increased immensely. And so I don't expect that to go away, even if kids do start to go back to their normal schools in a non-virtual setting. I expect the homeschooling resources to have doubled and to stay doubled. And so I think there's going to be a lot of exciting options for all of us as we come into the next few years.
That's amazing. That the ads that I'm seeing on Facebook. I know there's and I can't remember, I'll put the link in the show notes, but it's like guide school or guideline, but it's Montessori,
Hmm.
and they're guiding the parents through it, and they send you resources. You can actually have a tutor come into your house if you want. Like, it's just amazing how creative these organizations are getting on how they're delivering curriculum and the options
Yes.
parents have. I think parents just think like they have workbooks, right? And like they just
Mhm.
buy a whole bunch of workbooks from Barnes and Noble, and that's your option. And it's really amazing what's out there.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I just think there's no end. And in fact, the problem for parents, at least right now, I'm just seeing more and more resources pop up, is that I know a lot of people get overwhelmed with just there's so much out there. And so I would just say to anyone who's listening, who's feeling a little overwhelmed, having gone and just browsed online, pick something. It's
Yeah.
going to be okay. Pick a curriculum. Most of them are research based. Most of the homeschooling, I am seeing some scamming out there. There always is when there's popular, now homeschooling is suddenly popular. And so definitely look up the reviews. I would go to actual homeschool communities and talk. Like, there are many homeschooling communities on Facebook. All of mine, because I started homeschooling so early, a lot of mine were still on Yahoo, like having grandfathered in. It's been a long time since Yahoo groups were popular, but your homeschool groups in your community are going to be out there somewhere. And I would just like see what people are chatting about, see what people go with. And chances are the homeschoolers that you talk to are going to be going with kind of tried and true resources. And so I would just say, go and kind of do a little bit of that research, but try not to overthink it too much. The big thing is, no matter what curriculum you go with, it's not the success of your homeschooling isn't going to be because of that curriculum. It's going to be because of what you do with the curriculum. So I have purchased a bunch of different sources that, I wouldn't go straight through and do everything that's in the book. I've purchased old fourth grade math textbooks from 1983, and I've purchased all kinds of little workbooks too. And all of those just give me resources, so that if I'm thinking, okay, so how do I teach this particular concept, or do I have anything to inspire me on this subject? I can go and I can say, oh yeah, I got this. I got lots of resources. I'll pull one out, even if I don't do it from that book. It's like kind of like that comforting blanket that's like, okay, yeah, here's some curriculum and you got this, and now you can write that problem on the board and then teach it and you're good to go. So that's kind of how I've done it. I think it's easy to get trapped in the comparison. Which math curriculum should I go with? Should I do Right Start or should I do Math UC? Both of them are sort of Montessori based. Both of them are about the same price. Both of them come with manipulatives that come to your house. But which one is better? Like, which one should I choose? Which one is right for my child? You don't know. You don't know. You just pick something. It comes to your house. You try it out. A lot of them are free online. You don't have to purchase curriculum. There's so many free resources online. And then you just explore with it and see where it goes with your child and see what speaks to your child. And then the next year, if you decide to homeschool again, you'll be like, oh, we liked that one. Let's pick the next level up. Or, no, we didn't really like that one. Let's try something new. So that's kind of how it works for most homeschoolers.
Thank you for listening to Small Biz Mama with Kristen Ingram. If you'd like to learn how to create more margin in your life, please visit us at smallbizmama.com. That's smallbizmama.com.